All right, so welcome to our first practice of the year. Very exciting. Welcome, welcome. We're actually going to go ahead and get started on our backs. So if you want to go ahead and find a comfortable position, grab a blanket. And of course, you can place the blanket on your mat right now if you just want to start off in a really comfortable spot. I'm folding my blanket lengthwise so I can go ahead and place it just underneath my shoulders, letting my head and neck fall to the ground here, just feeling a lifting in the chest. As you bend your knees, pressing the bottom of the feet into the mat, let your hands just rest at your sides, palms facing up, ready to receive energy here as we start our practice with our breath. Easing into it as it's been a hectic week for many, as I've heard. We'll start with our equal parts breath, inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. 2 more rounds on your own. Heel toe your feet together so that the bottoms of your feet kiss, opening up your knees to Supta Baddha Konasana. Now, if you have a blanket or even your blocks, you can place them underneath your thighs, just providing a little bit more support here. If you're looking for a deeper hip opener, place your palms on the inner thighs, palms facing down. Moving into square breath, we'll inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Together, starting now, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Final round, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Bring your palms to the outside of your thighs, closing your legs in like a book. Heel toe your feet to the width of your mat and let your knees knock into one another. Place both hands just below the belly button. As we take 5 deep breaths together here, I want you to think about the placement of your breath. So as you inhale, press the belly button up. And as you exhale, let your belly button fall to your spine. Inhale, expanding in the space. And exhale, falling into that space we've created. 3 more on your own. Finishing up your last round here. Heel toe your feet towards one another, keeping your feet about hip width distance. Start to press down into your space as we go through 3 rounds of bridge. Inhale, press down through the feet, lifting the hips off the ground. And exhale, let your hips fall. 2 more on your own. As you let your hips fall, go ahead and remove any of the blankets or blocks that you had in your way. Letting your spine make complete contact with the ground. Bend your knees, bringing your palms to the tops of your shins. Squeeze your knees into your chest. Giving ourselves some massage here, we'll rotate our knees out, starting first clockwise. We'll do 5 rounds in this direction, and then 5 rounds in the other. No need to rush this. In fact, I encourage you to dip into any of those spaces that are feeling particularly juicy. You might feel it in your hips. You might feel it in your sacral, just behind the pelvis. You might even feel it in your shoulders. I'm switching directions now. Coming back to your breath and using it as a tool. Coming back to neutral. Go ahead and grab that block or blanket and place it between your legs. So right in between the knees, squeezing it in, reaching your arms out to a T, inhale. And as you exhale, bring your knees to the left side. An early supine twist, so just be gentle with yourself here. We'll have an opportunity to go a little bit deeper into this pose as we round out our practice. Press the palms down, and as you inhale, bring the knees back up into the chest, engaging your core muscles. And as you exhale, let the knees fall over to your right side. Pressing the palms down once more, engaging the upper body. As you tap into your core, draw the knees back into the chest at center. And then remove the blanket from or blocks in between your legs. Give those knees a deep squeeze here. Lifting the bottoms of feet up to the ceiling. Go ahead and wrap your fingers around, your peace fingers around your big toe. Or if you'd like, you can wrap the palms around the outside of your feet. Squeezing the knees down, come into happy baby here and rocking side to side. It's amazing to feel how deep we can get into certain places just by taking our time. If your hands are wrapped around the outside of your feet, I encourage you to go ahead and switch the grip. Bringing the peace fingers to wrap around the big toe, pulling the knees in towards the outside of the chest, and vice versa. If you had your fingers wrapped around the big toe, go ahead and grab for the outsides of your feet, and then rock once more. Coming back to neutral, press down into your sacrum, so right down into the pelvis. Sometimes we're going to want to arch that part of the low back. You really want to make contact with all points of your spine into the mat. Keeping your left knee bent, go ahead and extend the right leg to your comfort. We're not here to impress anybody. In fact, we're just the beginning, so we should really be gentle with our body. You can still keep a bend or micro bend in the right leg. As you exhale, draw the right knee back in, coming into happy baby. Moving on to the left side, inhale, press the bottom of the foot towards the top of the ceiling, maybe straightening the knee to your comfort. Breathing into the belly of the hamstring right behind your thigh, the back side of your thigh rather. And then as you exhale, draw the knee back in, coming back to happy baby. Release the grip of the feet. This time, let the left leg extend, and then interlace the fingers and wrap the palms around the right knee or just above the right shin. You're going to be very tempted to let both of your feet limp, so I encourage you to go ahead and flex the feet here. You'll notice your quad muscles turn on even in the left leg, using that as an anchor. This pose is called wind removing pose. We're not going to take any guesses as to why, but it does give us an opportunity to massage our digestive organs here. Continue to breathe. On your next inhale, I want you to extend the right leg so that the bottom of the feet is stamped up into the ceiling. Right leg is straight, and now your hands come to bind behind your right thigh, so right at the hamstring. Keeping the right foot flexed, you can add a micro bend to your knee. Just really stretching the back of your hamstring, feeling in that back of the right leg. Release the grip of your hands and let the right leg fall next to your left. Taking one moment here just to notice the difference between the right and left leg. I got some tingles galore in my right leg. And as we go ahead and switch it out, flex both feet, bend the left knee, interlace the fingers and wrap the hands around the bottom of the left knee or the left shin for wind removing pose here. Find your comfort. As I first came in the pose, I felt like my knee was right on top of my rib cage. So you can gently bring your knee out towards the left armpit and then draw it in. Remember to keep both feet flexed here. And as you inhale, straighten the left knee, pressing the bottom of the left foot up to the sky. Fingers interlace at your left hamstring. As you draw your leg towards your chest. Release the grip of the left leg and let the left leg fall down next to your right. Hands can come to your belly. 3 deep breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, releasing to exhale. On your last inhale, draw the knees into your chest. As you exhale, squeeze it in tighter, lifting your neck and chin and head off the ground. Inhale, hold here. And as you exhale, start to rock back and forth, giving yourself a nice little massage here along the spine, even into the lumbar, your low back, and come through seated position. We'll meet in our tabletop position. Shoulders stack over your wrists. As your hands and fingers spread wide, press down into the fingertips, the knuckles, and the heel of your hands. Inhale, cow pose, flip the tailbone up, drop the belly, lift through the chest. Exhale, cat pose, press down into the palms, round in the back body, and tuck your chin. 2 more on your own, taking your time. After your final round, come back to neutral tabletop. Reset your knees so that they're directly under your hips. Reset your hands if necessary. Tuck your toes and start to lift the knees off the ground, just about an inch here. Notice your core muscles turn on here in tiger pose as we hold for 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let the knees come down to the ground. Inhale, cow pose. As you exhale, cat pose. Tuck your toes, finding your plank position. Inhale here. And exhale, press your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. We took our time to get here, so let's take our time in this particular pose. Making whatever movements that you need to get into those spaces that your body's demanding. You can pedal out the feet, sway your hips side to side. Release your neck, maybe shake your head yes, shake your head no. Just notice whatever you're holding in that neck and shoulder space. As we reset our hands, go ahead and externally rotate your shoulders so that the eyes of your elbows are pointed towards the top of your space. As you exhale, see if you can bring your heels closer to the ground. Inhale, lift the heels up. And as you exhale, rotate the heels towards the right side of your mat, letting them drop down slightly. Breathe along your right side body. Inhale, heels rise. And exhale, rotate to your feet so that the heels come to the left side. Heels come up, and then exhale, let the heels fall as whatever comfortable for your particular body, creating your own shape here in downward facing dog. With our next breath, bring the gaze to the top of your space. And as you exhale, take tiny steps, bringing your feet in between your hands for our first forward fold of practice. So starting from the ground up, feet are going to be hips width distance. You can measure that by placing your fists in between your feet. Go ahead and bring a micro bend to your knees, giving yourself more space to let your chest fall into your thighs. Hands can rest at either side of your feet. You can reach for opposite elbows, letting your head and neck dangle between your biceps. Or if you're looking for a deeper variation, go ahead and interlace the fingers at the nape of the neck, drawing the elbows in to close as you come into a deeper forward fold. Now, before we lose too much blood from the brain, go ahead and release the hands down. As you inhale, come into halfway lift. So taking a moment here, our feet are still hip width distance. We're actively pressing down through our foot pada bandha, our foot bind, and we do that by spreading the toes wide and pressing down into even the tips of your toes, right? We still have a micro bend in our knees. Coming up to our hip space, imagine your hips really pulling away from your torso. So sometimes I even like to bring my hands just to that hip crease. Sometimes I even like to flip it so that my thumb goes right in that hip crease and I push away. Straight line of energy from your back of your head, your neck, along the spine, out towards your hip space. And then as you exhale and fold forward, maybe you find that you've created more space in your shape. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. On a long inhale, come to stand. Arms reach out to the side and then up to the sky. As you exhale, let your hands fall to the side for mountain pose. Keep your eyes closed here. Taking a moment just to settle into your space. Maybe even channeling the shape you created while we were on our backs. The sensation you created with the deep breath and the passive postures. On an inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hands come to prayer at heart center. Taking a moment here to set an intention for the rest of your class. As you come to visualize that word or mantra, press the palms in towards one another, creating a straight line of energy and activating that upper body. Inhale, arms reach out and up. And as you exhale, swan dive forward, taking your time in finding that forward fold position. Inhale here, halfway lift. Keeping the lift in your chest. Exhale, finding your high plank pose. Hold here for a breath. Inhale, press into the palms. As you exhale, lower down to your knees and then gently come all the way down to your belly. We're going to try 3 different spine strengthening poses here. Our first will be Cobra. So here in Cobra, Untuck the toes so that the tops of the feet are pressing down into your mat. Your feet are together like you're creating a little mermaid fin here. As you press down into the tops of your feet, notice how your quads turn on, lifting that muscle away from the kneecap. Full low body engagement here. Gently start to inhale, lifting your chest off the ground. And then as you exhale, lower your chest and forehead to the ground. Arms come to your side as the tops, the palms will actually face down in this case. So another way to get deeper here and even get a little bit more of that spine engagement and strength. We're going to keep our hands down to the ground and lift up everything on our next inhale. Inhale, lift the feet, lift the chest. Exhale, let it all fall. One more, just like that. Inhale, lift. And exhale, fall. Plant your hands underneath the shoulder, keeping that engagement in the lower and upper body. Find our second round of Cobra. Inhale, lift the chest, little to no weight in your palms. And exhale, lower the chest and forehead to the ground. Tuck your toes, press on up to high plank pose. And as you exhale, hips come up and back for downward facing dog. Taking 2 breaths here on your own. On your next inhale, right leg rises behind you. As you exhale, step the right foot behind your right thumb. Rotate the left foot a 45-degree angle, preparing for warrior one pose here. Inhale, arms reach up to the sky. And exhale, settle into your space. With this closed hip pose, I like to visualize pressing down through my right foot, pulling my right hip back, and pressing my left hip forward. Sometimes it even helps to put my hands right on my hips, and then arms will reach on up. Inhale, straighten the right knee. As you exhale, I want you to open up, finding warrior two position. Right foot is pointed directly in front of you. Rotate the left foot so that it's parallel to the back of your mat. 90-degree bend in your right knee. Center out your hips, this time an open hip pose. As your shoulders stack over your hips, your arms extend wide. In this pose, it's so easy just to drop in, right? Our arms are up. I like the idea or visualize that a visual that I've heard of no soggy fries, right? So really engage your arms here. Even engage your left leg by pressing into the knife edge of your left leg. On an inhale, reach the right arm back, reverse warrior. Exhale, commit to the bend in the right knee. As you inhale, press down through the right foot, straightening the right leg, reverse triangle. Engage the front right leg by engaging your quad muscle, and notice how that muscle then lifts off of your right kneecap. I sometimes do like to bring my left hand right to my right side body, really encouraging it to open up here. Inhale, reach through the right fingertips, no soggy fries. And as you exhale, come back to warrior two. Bring your drishti or your gaze or attention to the top of the right middle finger. So we take 3 breaths together here, creating strength in this pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. And as you exhale, cartwheel your hands down, framing the right foot. Tuck your left toes. As you inhale, 3-legged dog, right leg rises behind you. Exhale, bend the right knee, opening up the hip. You can go ahead and rotate the right ankle, bend and straighten the right knee. Whatever you're feeling today. And when you're ready, go ahead and start with 3-legged dog. Exhale, bring the right foot down to meet the left. And find your breath in downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, step the left foot behind your left thumb. Warrior 1 to start. So right toes point towards the top right corner of your mat. Press down into the left foot. Arms reach up to the sky as you settle in, drawing the left hip back, right hip forward. Inhale, straighten the left knee, creating length here. And then as you exhale, rotate open. Rotating the right foot now so it's parallel to the back of your mat. Left toes are pointed forward, 90-degree bend. Make sure you have heel to arch alignment with your feet. As we work up, center out the hips, shoulder stack over hips, and unsoggy those fries, really extending through the arms, feeling your biceps turn on, just by doing this. Our next breath comes to reverse warrior, reaching the left hand up and back. Exhale, find the bend in the left knee. Inhale, press down into the left foot, reverse triangle. As you exhale, open up the left side body. And coming back to notice any tension you're holding in the neck or shoulders. Inhale, reach through the left fingertips. And then exhale, come back to warrior 2. Finding our drishti gaze just in front of our left middle finger. Settle into your space and breathe. Inhale together. And as you exhale, cartwheel the hands down, framing the left foot. Tuck your right toes. As you inhale, left leg rises behind you. And exhale, bend the left knee, stacking left hip over right. Bend and straighten your knee. Ankle rotations, whatever you did on the other side. Inhale, left leg rises. And exhale, come back down to downward facing dog. Inhale, come back to high plank. Exhale, start to lower the knees to the ground. And then gently bring your chest down to the ground as we move a little bit deeper into this spinal space. That's a bit of a tongue twister. All right, so feet come back to touch. Untuck the toes, tops of the feet press down into your mat, turning your quads on here. We'll do our first round of cobra. So hands are planted underneath the shoulder. Inhale, lift the shoulders up. Exhale, let your chest fall. Hands come to your sides and just turn to your left cheek, letting your left cheek and ear rest onto your mat. Our next round, our gaze will come to the top of our space. Interlace the fingers at the low back. Squeezing your palms together, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale, lift the chest off the ground. And then as you exhale, gently lower, resting your right cheek and right ear to your mat. Third round, gaze comes to the top of your space. Bend your knees. Reaching the hands back to grasp the tops of the feet or right around the ankles. Flex your feet. Inhale, kick the feet into your hands, opening up the chest here. Exhale, hold. One more breath. And then release, chest, forehead, or cheek of choice to the ground. Before we lose too much heat, go ahead and bring the gaze to the top of your space. Hands planted underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes. Press on up into tabletop position or high plank. Inhale here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Place your hand a little bit more at the center of your mat. Inhale, right leg rises. As you exhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Now here is another time where your blanket may come in handy, so I'm going to go ahead and place it just under where my left knee will go. And when we place the left knee down, we don't want to go right on your kneecap. So you can actually scoot your left foot back. So what you really want to do is have the floor kind of on that fleshy part just above your kneecap. So hands are on the inside of your right foot. Untuck the toes so that you're pressing, or the top of the left foot is pressed into the ground. Plant the left hand underneath your left shoulder, and then bring the right hand just to the right thigh, gently peeling it open here. Breathe into whatever space you feel like you're holding tension, and do your best to let it go. Don't let your weight fall into the left shoulder, right? Don't let it drop in. Really press into the left hand, keeping the chest lifted. As you exhale, bring the right hand down to the inside of your right foot. Tuck the left toes. Inhale, right leg rises behind you. And exhale, open the right leg up, bending the right knee. Here's where you can do some circles with the knees now that we've gotten a little bit more open in the hip space. And then when you're set, go ahead and come back to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg rises. And then exhale, step the left foot to the outside of your left hand. Letting the right knee drop down. Step the right foot back slightly so that you're landing on that fleshy part of the right leg, just above the kneecap. Right hand planted underneath your shoulder. If you want to grab a block to put under it, you're more than welcome. And then your left hand comes to the top or the inside of the left thigh as you gently start to rotate it out. Last breath here. And as you exhale, left hand comes to the inside of the left leg. Tuck the right toes. Make your way into three-legged dog. Left leg lifted. And exhale, bend the left knee, stacking left hip over right. Go ahead and make circles with your knees or whatever movement or shape you did on the other side. Inhale, left leg rises, and exhale, come back to our last downward dog of our practice. Giving you some time and space just to create whatever you need to in this shape. I like the transitions of going through down dog to high plank. I've been holding a lot in my upper back and shoulders. So focusing on not being so stiff there. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lower down to your knees. Bringing your seat to either side. You have a blanket, go ahead and place it so you can go ahead and sit on top of it. With your legs crossed, inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, plant the right hand down next to your right hip. Inhale to create length. And then as you exhale, side bend over to your right side. If you're not feeling the cross-legged, that's totally fine. We can come out of this real quick, opening up the legs, or even if you just want to play a little bit more with the hip opening. The biggest thing with this, if you're going to be doing the side bends and everything, make sure that your toes are pointed up and that your feet are still flexed. So you can do it either way, legs open or cross-legged. If you are in this legs open variation, a deeper option is to bring your right arm onto the inside of the right leg, pulling your shoulder back so that your left shoulder stacks over your right, your chest is opening up, and then really taking a moment to see how that translates in the left side body. Inhale, arms come up to the sky. If you're in cross-legged, go ahead and switch your feet out. Arms are still lifted. Left hand comes down towards your left hip. Inhale, reach through the right arm. And then as you exhale, side body, stretch over to the left side. If you did it on the other side, go ahead and bring the left hand to the inside of the left leg, opening up the chest, feeling that tiny little movement translate onto this side. Inhale, hands come up. Now, if you were in cross-legged, I invite you to open your legs wide here. They don't need to be super wide. We're not trying to get into a splits position. And I do think that sitting on top of a blanket is really helpful just to get our hips up a little bit. I would recommend sitting on top of a block for this one because that block is just a little bit too high, even on its deepest. So hands come just in front of your chest here. Inhale for length, really pressing down and grounding down through your sits bones. And then as you exhale, gently start to walk your hands forward. Your feet are still flexed. If you need to like loosen up a little bit, you can maybe bring like a little micro bend into your knees. But again, don't push it too hard here. We're just about to round out our practice. And the biggest thing is getting grounded, right? So really thinking about every single point of your body that's making contact with the mat. Gently inhale, walking your hands back towards your hips. Bring your knees in, zipping the legs up. So I'm just gonna move so you guys can see me a little bit. So I'm still keeping my seat right on top of my blanket here. Legs are extended, feet are flexed for Paschimottanasana. Forward fold here in seated, arms reach out and up. And as you exhale, fold forward. Fingers can come to wrap around the big toes, or your hands can wrap around your calves, your ankles, maybe even the tops of the feet. Listen to your body here. Gently tuck your chin. This can be a really great release for your hamstrings, maybe even into your hip space, but also just that small tucking of the chin can help release a lot of that stuff here in the shoulders. On your next inhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, come up so that your shoulders are stacking over your hips. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and remove the blanket from underneath your seat as we make our way to lying down on our back. I'd love to revisit some of the poses that we actually started off with, just to tune into like what's changed and what's open. So first, let's start by planting our feet into the mat. Feet are hip width distance. Step your feet towards your hips so you can graze the back of the heels with your fingertips. On an inhale, press down into your feet, lifting the hips up for bridge pose. And exhale, release, letting the hips fall. One more before we hold here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fall. On our final round, we'll hold. Inhale, press down through the feet, lift up through the hips. Option to interlace the fingers at the low back and then tuck the shoulders underneath the torso. One more breath as we try to lift an inch higher, engaging those glutes. And then release the hand bind, letting your hips fall down to the ground. Heel toe your feet out to the width of the mat, letting the knees knock into one another for broken bridge. A variation I've been liking is taking my hands and creating an L shape with my index and thumb, and then placing the thumb right at the hip crease, pushing down and away. Send your breath just above the tailbone, releasing any of that stuff in the low back. If you have your hand bind, go ahead and let your hands release. Inhale, knees come up. As you exhale, squeeze the knees into your chest. And start moving into those circles with your knees. Massaging the low back. Using your breath as a tool to identify any tension you're still holding there. Using those exhales to melt it away. Switching the direction in your rotation. Bring the knees back into a squeeze. Meet me in happy baby. So flex the feet. Knees are bent as the bottoms of the feet are facing up towards the ceiling. You can reach for the big toes with your peace fingers or wrap the hands around the outsides of your feet. Before we get into rocking, come back to that grounding sensation, right? So think about every part of your spine. Is it making contact with the mat? Is your lumbar coming up? Do you have an intense arch? You'll naturally have an arch in your low back, so like not every part of your spine is going to make contact, but just really be intentional with creating that foundation, even in this restorative pose. Now start to rock side to side. If you liked extending the legs at the beginning of practice, or even if you just want to try it out, since we've had an opportunity to open them, I invite you to do so. Maybe you do one at a time. Maybe you work towards having both legs extended. Whatever shape you're creating, come back to your breath. From happy baby, go ahead and squeeze the knees back into the chest. Find your trusty blanket or block and place it in between your knees for our second round of supine twist. Arms reach out to a T. This time I want you to place the feet onto the ground, and then as you lift the hips, gently place the left hip at the center of the mat. Then draw the knees in and then let your knees fall to the left side. Your hands can either be at a T or if you prefer goalpost, whatever's working for you. Option to bring the left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Adding some depth to the stretch. If your left hand is on your right thigh, go ahead and release, coming back to either a T or a cactus. Engage those core muscles one more time, bringing the knees in towards the chest. As you exhale, feet can plant into the ground. Gently lift the hips up and then plant your right hip towards the center of your mat, letting your knees knock over to the right side. If you placed your left hand on your right thigh, go ahead and place the right hand on the left thigh. Hands come out to a T or to goalpost. As you engage your core here, draw the knees back into center. You can let the blanket come to the side, keeping it close by, not completely out of the way. And then let the left leg extend as you squeeze the right leg in. 2 breaths here. On your 3rd breath, extend the left leg towards the ceiling. Fingers interlace at the back of the right, extend the right leg towards the ceiling, sorry. Fingers interlace at the back of the right, at the right hamstring. Release the hand bind, go ahead and let the right leg come to meet the left. Then drawing the left leg into the chest. Fingers interlaced to wrap around the left thigh, squeezing it on in. 2 breaths here. Third breath, we'll extend the left leg so that it's reaching towards the ceiling. Interlace the fingers behind the left hamstring. Engage your right leg, flexing the right foot. And then exhale. Go ahead and squeeze the left knee in and then draw the right knee in as well. You can grab your blanket or a block and go ahead and press down through the feet, lifting the hips off the ground, sliding that block or blanket underneath the sacrum, just behind your pelvis, and then let your legs lift up to the sky. Hands can come to your tummy or rest at the side as you just come into your final breaths of the practice. Coming out of this pose is pretty easy. We'll go ahead and just bend our knees. Bring it in for one more squeeze here. And then as you exhale, prepare for Shavasana. I got plenty of options for you, so you can keep your ears peeled. With the blanket, you can fold it and place it underneath your knees, providing a little bit of a release to the low back. If you feel like you want a little bit grounding, you can also fold it, but then place it lengthwise on top of your hips. If you want to totally cocoon, because let's do that. That's what I'm going to opt for. Go ahead and open up your blanket. And then gently find your sweet Shavasana under the blanket. Taking a moment just to reflect on the breath and the movement that you've created, the sensations that came out of your practice. In these last few moments of consciousness, maybe you also visualize that intention that you set at the beginning of your practice. Sometimes you can focus on it, hold on to it. Sometimes it might be even beneficial just to let it go. If you're able to stay in Shavasana for longer, I'm a big fan, do it. If you're ready to be let out, start to wiggle your toes, your fingers, flutter your eyes open, and bring your arms out from under your blanket, reaching the hands and arms up and then overhead for a big good morning stretch. Rolling to either side, drawing your knees into your chest and resting your head on your bicep. Use that free hand to ground into your mat, this wonderful space that you've held for yourself. And then when you're ready, go ahead and press on up into seated. Eyes are closed, hands come to heart center. Taking a moment to thank every muscle, bone, and joint that takes you through your practice. Bringing your prayer to third eye, thankful for all of life's lessons. Some are easier than others, but all providing perspective along the way. And bowing forward for this wonderful space where we can practice together. All the places you have gone and all the places you will go once this all has passed. Namaste.